Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a Bronze Mercy player. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. Okay, so you're running as a Mercy. You have a Lucio partner, which makes me very unhappy. But you do have a Soldier and a Hanzo, which will be pretty good boost partners.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Enemy taunt.
Okay, so you're just practicing your jumps? Fine. So you didn't really want to be over here. Being to the side of your team was good. Over here was a good idea because you could see all of your teammates to pick who you wanted to heal, who you wanted to boost, if someone was further away, who you wanted to Guardian Angel to. Being over on this side is less good, of course, even when the shield was up. Being behind the shield isn't great because it's actually... there's still ways for you to take damage. Shields can break, fire strikes can go through them, enemies can take angles, things like that. And it's actually sort of harder to pick your target from here than it is from here. It's easier to pick your target from the side than it usually is from behind. So we'd have liked to be here. That would have been our preference. We could have paid attention over here. We could have boosted and then, every 2, 4, whatever seconds, check, wait, is there something over here I need to be aware of? Am I listening? Do I hear anything? That sort of thing. But okay, here we go.
Don't let up on them.
Sure.
This should be at peak performance level. Let me get you patched up.
Okay, so here you are. This is happening. You're not standing where I wanted you to. You're boosting the soldier, which is fine. You're now boosting no one, which is not fine.
Don't let up on them.
That is Hanzo. Okay. You can't really see what's going on. Like, I don't really like that you're just running around, jumping around, dancing around. Like, again, you just needed to stand over here. That's all you needed to do. You just need to stand over here. Instead, you're here where I can't see what's going on. You can't see what's going on. You're sort of looking at the ground. Like, no, just get over here where you can see your teammates. And then if they're going this way, you might end up adjusting and flipping yourself over to, say, here, where it becomes something like this. We've got this potential cover against this direction and this cover against this direction. But you've got time before you've got to adjust from here. And you want your teammates on your screen. Please stop looking down. Okay, that's better. But you don't need to stare at your opponents either. Remember, you can't interact with your opponents. You interact with your teammates, so try to keep them on your screen. Just stand in a corner, hidden from enemy view, and hold right mouse button, end of review. Not quite, Game Buster.
You should be at peak performance level.
Like, we don't want to stand here. We're looking back towards our team. We also have this weird down tilt to our camera. Please bring your camera up to level like this. And you don't want to be here because, hey, Reinhardt's come through and swing into you. This isn't what we want. We don't want to put ourselves relative to the opponents in front of our team. That's silly. Like, we could be here when the opponents were here, but now that the opponents are here, we adjust and we put ourselves over here. This is what we're looking to do. And then we can see our teammates. They're on our screen. Even if they're behind walls, they're on our screen. That's what we want to do with our Mercy. Not this just humping around like, oh, I'm scared, let me jump around, let me just constantly move around. You don't just constantly need to be moving around. You need to find places with good cover. Your defense is not your... One moment while I get my epic pen. Come on, Epic Man. Your defense is not, ooh, wee, I'm going to jump around and move and this and that. Like, you might go, hey, I'm going to Guardian Angel away if someone gets on top of you. But your defense is instead, I'm going to stand with cover. And if someone starts to sneak up on me, if Flanker starts to come around, someone opens a shot on me, then I might Guardian Angel for movement to change where I am. But I'm not just going to constantly be jumping around like I've had too much sugar or something like that. It's like, I'm a little kid who's had too much sugar. No, that's not what I'm going to do. I can chill here. That's perfectly fine. See what's going on. I'm good with that. That's fine. You check. But why are you in the middle? You can hit that. But again, why were you still up there after your res? And this is a good little trick too. You can do this. You can sort of slow fall your way down and Guardian Angel back up. And slow fall your way down and Guardian Angel back up. And that's fine because it's keeping you out of the fight while still letting you boost your Hanzo the whole time. Or swap targets as your Guardian Angeling back up and then slow fall down. Your beam will stretch as long as you were in range within 1.3 seconds. Check on your team. No, don't forget about your Hanzo. Beam your Hanzo. Check on your team. Don't run at that. We really are better off boosting our ball. Like, we really are, in almost every situation, better off boosting someone when they're there to interact with them. If it was just us in the Zen and we were stuck fighting him, sure, we could pull out our blaster, but we weren't in any way stuck fighting him. We were here. We had no need to be stuck fighting the Zen. We could have beamed our ball and even broken line of sight on the Zen. And while our ball was blue beamed and getting bonus damage, the Zen wouldn't be able to shoot us, and we'd be able to check on, do I need to break off my ball and go help someone else? That's what you ideally wanted to do here on Mercy. Swap to staff.
I'm taking care of him.
Me. Oh, this Mercy isn't so bad. I wonder why she's in bronze. Mercy pulls out pistol. Me. I see. Yeah, pretty much. I actually don't know, like, this movement, this walking around, jumping, not really being able to, when she's walking around and jumping like this, she can't actually track her teammates very well. We're in replay mode where we can see all the teammates' health and such, but by being here, she's got a lot of time where she really can't make good decisions. She doesn't have the information to make good decisions of who's actually missing health, who's getting shot. Like, not only is she in additional danger by being here, she doesn't have the information to see the status of her team because she constantly runs around in the middle of her team like this, which really, like, I can't emphasize it enough. It's so much easier from here to see what your teammates need than it is from, I can't even move like that, than it is from here just jumping around, like looking down, can't even see their health bars, jumping. Yeah. And Mercy's all about being able to make good decisions of when does my blue beam go where? Who needs yellow beam? Should I go for this res? Who can I Guardian Angel to? She's all about being able to make those decisions.
Good choice.
You should be at peak performance.
Yeah, I've been working a lot playing, I'm assuming that's Anna at 1800, which is very nice, very nice. Or maybe that was a play on Anna and Nano because you're considering Anna a nanobot. I don't know.
A great team.
Yeah, you don't need, please stop it. Please stop just running around jumping like this.
Team up for special attack.
If someone's actively shooting at you, you can be like, oh yeah, I've got to think about my movement. But your defense against opponents as Mercy isn't, oh, I'm constantly moving. It's literally, there's a physical object between me and my opponent so they can't shoot me. Or there's a physical object between me and my opponent so they can't shoot me. That's what you want. That's what you want. And I peek it for a moment to get that out there and this. I don't need to constantly be doing movement. If I get caught in the open, do I need to do movement? Absolutely. But you don't need to constantly be doing movement.
Let the dragon consume you.
Gross, Mercy, Lucio, Orisa? Yeah, it is.
A clean bill of health.
So I'm okay with Mercy and Orisa together. That's fine with me.
Where does it hurt?
Those are both good poke heroes. But yeah, Lucio is not good with either of those. Not terribly good with either of those. There are Orisa Brawl / Orisa Rush comps that have used Lucio before.
I'm here. Well done. This is not your time.
Phase 2 had quite some fun with our Orisa, Diva, Lucio, Moira, Reaper, May comp in the 2019 playoffs. Like, so Orisa, Lucio, we were quite happy with that, but we were 100% abusing invulnerability cooldowns. Like, Fortify, DM, well, really boosters is sort of mortality combo. Block, Wraith, Fade, Wall Ride. None of these heroes were punishable, and it was quite fun to abuse them together, and it made it more bulky than, say, running a Rhine in that spot. But hey, yeah, it was right after the Goats nerf. Or the 222 lock, I should say. Okay, back to this. I got distracted. So we're on our way back. We get eliminated because we have no idea what's going on.
Let the dragon consume you.
Okay, let's put a GM Mercy here. Can she make a difference at all? Yes. A GM Mercy could easily make a difference here.
I'm with you.
Assume... Yeah, the GM Mercy is just going to spam ult plus pistol, exactly. Was that a little super jumper as in bronze? I like this player. Okay, so here you are. We're looking at this. You do that. It's a very baby super jump, but it is a little bit of a super jump. My problem with it is, oh yes, I super jumped because it's a cool tech. But was it better? Was it better than just doing your shift jump, not your super jump, just your shift and jump to glide past and rezzing from here where you had partial cover? And the answer is no. People go all fancy for the super jump, and hey, it's cool that you can hit the super jump. At least you can sometimes hit the super jump. That's cool and all, but really we got to think, does a little bit of height give me more protection, or does a little bit of distance give me protection? And in this case, a little bit of distance to get a little cover gives you better protection than the height does. So that's what we'd have preferred to do.
Get into position. This is not your time. Swiftly.
Hey, gotta practice these? Yep.
This time.
Okay. There's a Hanzo right here and a soldier right here. You will get more damage out of damage boosting and more flexibility out of damage boosting one of these two than out of pistoling this Mercy. So, like, especially because this Hanzo is probably going to pop Storm Arrow, and the soldier would probably pop Rocket because this Mercy is standing still for them, damage boosting one of them is better because you can do it instantly. You don't have to take the time to switch to your pistol, which is good. You've also got the ability to then change your mind to do something else like heal if the situation warrants it, and you don't have to look at the Mercy. You can go spend the time to go find a better place, and you don't have to invest the time swapping back to your staff that goes and does things on the other end, because you swap into your pistol, you do damage, then you swap out of your pistol, and those are both time fillers. And while that pistol's out, you can't change your mind and heal the same way. You also can't change your mind in terms of like, hey, I'm on this, now I need to... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Don't do this. Don't do this. You had perfectly good targets, like perfectly good targets for taking down this Mercy if that's what you wanted to do. And yes, you can reach that Hanzo without getting yourself blown up with your beam. Oh look, I wonder if we'd have been able to boost Hanzo to take down the Mercy and then flip and maybe make a difference? Probably not. Yeah, the mine would have been too much damage, but still, the concept. Okay, I'd sure like to be on my beam right now, so that I can damage boost soldier, and then when he takes damage, potentially heal him. I also don't know why we reloaded at 12 ammo there, but hey. I agree, Mercy let her soldier get eliminated there. What should you do if your team has a Mercy and a Lucio as a main tank? Pray. Now, what you look to do is you hope that they both understand the offensive side of their kit, meaning boost and speed, and you look to play really, really fast. You look to take as little damage as possible, and then you look to play fast. And I'd recommend leaning even harder into that by playing a tank that likes to go fast, like, say, Winston. That could be fine. And go, hey, we are going to take very fast fights, abusing boost and speed with our Winston. So let's do Mercy boost, Lucio speed, and try to abuse that to win. And hopefully we'll even get something that makes sense where the rest of my team will figure it out, and they'll go like Ball or Diva, and they'll go Echo or Pharah, and maybe they'll go like Tracer or Reaper, or something like that, where again, I was just talking about, hey, no one's diveable, no one's punishable in that comp that we played after Goats. Same thing. If you have a Lucio Mercy, That's one of the things you can play into. You can play into a let's try to play fast. Let's try to play where no one can be initiated on by the enemy team, and let's try to play where everybody, has that invincibility cooldown, can't be initiated, and can play pretty fast. Can go. Let's just take the fight, skip the staging phase, just go. As soon as we have 6 people, we just go, type thing. Or if you're not willing to do, it's less. I mean, you can do the skip the staging phase and just go type thing, or which was sort of like the video I talked about yesterday with Talon Dive, if you guys saw that. Or you can go, we're just gonna play because none of us can be punished, but we have a Mercy in Lucio. We're gonna play super avoid full. We're never gonna let ourselves get jumped on. We're not actually going to use our defensive cooldowns. We're just going to play around to avoid stuff until we get a big lead from our Echo or a Pharah, and then we're going to convert those cooldowns to go. So, like, you have options. You have ways that you can play it, but I would recommend something that can not get punished and can play really fast when the window opens. So, like, Winston is basically what I'd recommend as the main take. You could do Hammond, but yeah. Kind of a miss initial double shield after 222. Got to practice these super jumps. Now draw Mercy. No. Just here for the drawings. Reality, Lucio is holding heal. Mercy is holding a pistol. Yeah, I know. Well, I said what you would do to make the comp work. What would you do to make the comp work at a low level where your Mercy is actually holding healing and your Lucio is actually also on healing aura? Well, you just sort of cry. Cry is a good one. You'd probably want to play that slower style, but that demands that the rest of your team buys in. So you're still going to play something that's pretty able to avoid stuff, like able to stay out of the fight, like Winston or Hammond, and look for your moment. Just look for your moment, and then when you get your moment, go hard, is what I'd recommend. Because you can't play a Rhine and do meaningful tank trading. Winston, you might still get stuck in tank trading against the right comps, another Winston, things like that, but you're looking for something where, okay, I'll just try to find my moment to commit, I guess, when we get a big enough lead. But that's going to be based on, can my DPS do enough? Can my DPS find a moment when they shine? And then I'm going to do everything I can to follow up on that moment. And someone highly mobile is going to be best for that. It's not great. Hog can benefit from Lucio Mercy, sure.
Lost.
Tactical.
Defense
I don't really want to be here. Again, I don't want to just be down their sightline because any shots that happen to slip past my team are going to hit me. Like shots that aren't even meant for me are going to hit me. I don't want that. I want to instead be off to the side where I can still see my teammates just fine. I can still see my teammates just fine. I can still see my teammates just fine. I can also be an early warning system, pay some attention in this direction, and I can pick who I want to boost or who I want to heal, but I'm not going to take spam from the opponent. Stand to the side as Mercy. Stand to the side. Stand to the side. Or stand above if you want even. This would even be better. But don't just stand behind them.
Heroes never die.
These guys aren't committed. These guys aren't committed, and they can easily just wait out your Valk. They can just be like, nope, we're going to leave. We were thinking about coming forward. Now we're going to go back in here. We're going to go back here, and we're going to leave. So you generally want to Valk once the other team is already committed. So like they're already stuck in the fight is what that means. So the other team is like, aha, we're here and we're fighting. And if we try to retreat from here, your team is going to easily pursue us and wipe us out before we're actually able to get out of the fight. Here, yes, their Reinhardt's weak, but I don't think you guys are going to pursue them and knock them out of the fight. I mean, your ball's all the way back here. You've got the rest of you here, but they're sort of like here-ish. Is your team really going to be able to chase forward and go get it? Maybe because you have a Lucio, but you really, with that Valk, want to activate it while it's still like an even fight, like a 6v6, 5v, or like a 6v6, 6v5 type scenario, that sort of thing. So you do want to activate it early into the fight, but you want to activate it when it's going to be just a little bit harder for the opponents to get out than it is right now. Right now, they could get out. They should get out. I don't know that they will, but they should just leave.
Damage amplified.
Yeah, you see how your team isn't really willing to push this? That's not totally on your team. Like, yes, your team should push it because you did push Pop Valk, but this isn't totally on your team. The opponents had places that they could go. They had cover that they could sit behind. They weren't really committed to pushing this fight. So what your Valk has done well, is it should have bought the duration of the Valk from stopping the opponents from pushing. But that's not really good enough. We don't want to be like, they won't push for 10, 12, 8, whatever seconds. We want to actually get the wipe so that they aren't able to push us during the Valk and they have to wait another 20 to 30 seconds to regroup after that. So we can get 45 seconds plus we charged other ults instead of, say, 12. Or in this case, more 8 since they decided to push through your Valk. A little slow on the micro to swap over to heals there. Again, we don't want to be in the fight here. We much, much more would like to be to the side of fights. You can't be to the side over here because this ball's done a good job of taking this away. So what you'd instead do is you'd super jump up off of your Lucio and you'd get up here and your beam will still do plenty from here. It will stick to targets that even if you get a little out of range of your target, it'll stick to them for more than a second after you've left range, as long as you don't wildly leave range, just because it has a little bit of a lingering tether effect to it. But hey. Okay. Guardian Angel past your Orisa. Past your Orisa. I wanted you to slingshot past her, but okay. Damage boost, damage boost. People have 700 extra health from that beat. You needed a damage boost, not heal during that. Please get out of the middle of the fight. It's safe over here now. It's safe over here. Get yourself up over here. And then you can still pick who you want to boost, like this Storm Arrowing Hanzo. That would be a great boost target, much better than healing this Lucio. And then if you start taking damage or get into too much trouble, you just can drop here. See? Good spot. This is where we want to be. I don't know why you're jump spamming. And again, you wouldn't have been shattered if you'd been up here. You'd have casually laughed at him. Okay, you wouldn't have casually laughed at him because your teammates would have still been on the ground, but you'd have been like, yep, that was a shatter. Cool story. I'm okay.
A speedy recovery.
Cry equals scream at them in voice. Okay. Well, you just sort of cry. Cry is a good one. Cry or rage. There you go. Those are basically the options. Okay. I don't love this res. And the reason that I don't love this res... Congrats. Your team has managed to turn the fight. Oh, I went back too far. My bad. So here you are. Team comes out. Managed to turn the fight with mines. Great. Team's okay. I don't really care that your Lucio got eliminated. Because yes, your Lucio was the last person eliminated. You haven't gotten an elimination since. But they have someone in spawn right now. And they also have someone who's not even in spawn right now. It'll take Reinhardt some number of seconds because you see that he's actually, not even spawned yet. So there's some number of seconds between 0 and 10, even if you don't know how many, between now and when he appears. And then he has to go all the way to here before a real push could start. You don't need to. You can wait, because it's going to take your Lucio of all heroes, 10 seconds to spawn, really closer to 9 now, and then he's going to wall ride, and he'll be here in 13 seconds. In a total of 13 seconds, your Lucio will be here, so you do not need to put your res on a full cooldown for that. If you think, wait a second, do I want to put my res, do I want to spend half a minute with res on cooldown when he'll be back in really a third of that time, half that time? No, I don't. I would rather have my res for the very beginning of the fight in case someone else gets picked. In case in this sort of 5v5 that's happening, someone else gets picked, I'd rather be able to res them because they could be in more trouble. Oh well.
Let's get you back out there. Damage amplified.
Come here and get stable.
Because if someone else goes eliminated 6 seconds from now, that might be a situation where they won't be back before the Reinhardt is here, and then we could potentially get pushed in a 6v5 scenario. And you'd rather avoid that. Okay. D.Va can just play for health packs, just kind of play a big tracer. The problem is everyone starts wanting health packs when things get bad, in terms of not having great support combos. Shields aren't cover, you have to rely on the map, correct. I'm sorry I'm a bit salty today, but that's why I don't play Overwatch at the moment. Oh, what happened? Oh, teammates? Crying and screaming at teammates? Is that what happened? Yeah, that totally happens. Totally get it. Take breaks. I recommend for minor tilt stuff, take, 24-hour, probably a 48-hour break. And then for major tilt stuff, take like a 2-week break. Go play your way through an RPG. Go on a bunch of hikes. Go on an exercise binge a TV show. Do whatever you want. Or, go put more effort into your work. Like, do whatever you want. But, spend 2 weeks really not playing the game to get those nice hard resets, which are also very good for kicking bad habits you didn't realize you had, because you think about the game a little more when you come back to it instead of just autopiloting certain things. It's actually a pro level team pushing a team forward as defense. Yes, but they weren't going to do it, and we know it. Soldier was already ulting. Tried a lot, easily irritated. Must be a WoW player. Needs a vacation. There you go. There you go. And Nardstorm is the from the Overwatch tourism from Overwatch tourism complaining, or not complaining, advertising how relaxing and fun it is at all times. Okay, so here we are. You're doing this. You're jumping around the point. I like that you're at the side now. I don't like that you're just jumping around for no reason. Like, jumping isn't actually that good of a defensive move anyways. Strafing is better, but no one can see you. So you can settle down. It's okay. If you want to be more active, what you do to be more active isn't like, oh, I'm going to jump a bunch. It's I'm going to be more active with my camera. I might beam the soldier, but I'm going to be more active with my camera in terms of looking at things. If you're like, oh, no, I've got to be moving at all times, move your camera. Be checking on things. Be aware of things. Like, that's where you can channel your APM. Don't just hop through the middle of the point. Separate, create distance, boost someone like your Hanzo who can potentially take him down and create distance so that he's not getting you and the person you're boosting in one swing. No, don't stack on people. You're letting him swing at 3 people at once. You can't res there. You didn't even have res.
Valkyrie is almost ready. Heroes never
Okay,
die.
you have no choice. Yeah.
Team up for special attack.
I will prove
You're
myself.
dying on my watch.
Okay. I don't care about your BAP unless you're going to play more.
Ready for battle.
Okay.
Lucio, I never realized your father was the one who invented Vishka's sonic technology.
Okay. So we'll see how things continue, but the 2 biggest things for you at the moment are get to the side of fights, not in the middle of your team. Like, please get out of the middle of your team. And then use your APM for looking around, not for just constantly jump spamming. Mercy gets punished a little less hard for jump spamming than other heroes, but that's only if you understand that you can change your jump spam with spacebar. By withholding spacebar using her passive, and it's still not amazing. It's like, okay, she's punished a little less hard than other heroes. So I'd really like to get rid of this jump spam. I'd really like you to be like, nope, I'll use this APM to look around, to check flanks, to check on teammates that aren't in my screen in front of me. And then I'd also like to position to the side where I can see my teammates, but my opponents can't see me. Those are the 2 things that are by far going to get you the most bang for your buck, because you'll actually be able to see your team, you'll be safer, and then as a third thing, you'll be like getting a little more use out of your constantly wanting to move if you're moving your mouse to look instead.
I'll cast a spell on you. I'll cast a spell. I'll cast a spell on you.
3,
I'll cast a spell on
1.
you.
Attackers incoming.
Did you just jump away from cover then get shattered?
My healing upon you.
Are you suggesting that that was not the play?
Right beside you.
Are you suggesting that that was not the play? Surely you're not. Oh, look, we're in the middle of the fight. Oh, this is better. This is better. Except for on heals.
Right beside you.
Fine. Immediately you want a Guardian Angel past your Symmetra to try to get yourself over to here. Like, first thing you do, get to the side of this fight.
Verdammt.
Nope, not just run and jump. You actually wanted some distance. You could do it now with a little Guardian Angel, then jump hop, end yourself up over here, boost her, run through. Your beam will break at some point as you're running through, but then you get over here where you've got a health pack available to you. You have lots of good targets that you can Guardian Angel to if someone shows up on you, and you can just passively boost your ball or anyone else who comes closer.
My damage spell is upon you.
Okay, we're on boost here. Now you can swap to heals for a moment if you want. And now you swap targets, and you boost your Junkrat. 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 There's a big phalanx of enemies approaching you. You want to boost the guy who's like, oh, I tank bust. I tank bust. I throw lots of spam. I'm area denial. He's the guy that you want to boost right now. Not heal. He was only missing, what, 50, 60 health? Damage boost him. I don't love it, but I'll deal. Once they get in close like this, you can boost your Symmetra instead, but as they're approaching like that, you want it to be boosting your Junkrat. Generally, when balls slam, you want to look for the weakest 200 HP heroes, HP squishy, and heal them sort of preemptively so that they don't get comboed, but that's fine.
Objective A captured. New defense point. Objective B. I recommend moving behind my barrier.
Ich bin down. Casting a spell on you.
Mercy needs a bunny costume skin. I don't know if they'll do that for her. In fact, I kind of doubt they will. Like, that would probably trigger too many negative video game journalism articles, opinion pieces, that would be bad press for them. They might be willing to do that with other heroes, like Widowmaker, for example. I don't think they'd be willing to do that with Mercy.
Delegate online. Did someone call for a witch? Damage increased. You-
Okay, so here we are.
Did someone call for a witch? Damage increased.
Sure. You can't tuck left, so you're just kind of stuck. You really went in here. Like, there's not a great reason to go in here because this push is already over, and you're not going to get this res. Like, if your Orisa was actually affirmatively able to take this space, sure, you could res it and maybe have a real push, but this push is pretty over as far as I'm concerned. You're not likely to actually make this work. So I'd be really, unless your Orisa really takes the space, you don't want this. I don't mind that you tried to go over here. Ball surprised you by being here. Now you're just looking to get out as best you can. Again, you actually want to be able to use your tech to go, hey, I Guardian Angel to this target, and I jump past it. Yes, there was a halt, there's halt shenanigans, but, like, that doesn't affect you. Or was it deflected? Was there a deflected halt? Is that what happened? You want to generally do your jump past. I actually want to see, because I saw a halt that I feel like brought your momentum to a stop. Was that a deflected halt? No. Yeah, you just messed up. So you want a Guardian Angel to the target, and then as you sort of get to them, you want to press spacebar. And that's a little tech that's even easier than super jumps that'll send you a bit past them. And then from there, you keep walking to run and get around the corner. You didn't get that at all, so you stopped right where your Orisa was. Your momentum came to 0. We didn't want that. We wanted to sort of do our little jump past thing, glide, maintain a little bit of our Guardian Angel momentum. And if we were really good, we'd have actually tried to back up a little bit further to increase the Guardian Angel speed, because we can get a little more speed out of our Guardian Angel by being further away, which will then give us a little more momentum for that jump tech I'm talking about. Why are you here? What? Okay, whatever. You're just doomed. Sure. Dance with the shield. Why aren't you helping Lucio? I don't like it. I don't like it. This is so over. You're just resetting, right?
My servants never die.
And your Junkrat's not back either. He's close, but he's not back either. You're Valking into a 3v6. Yeah, your Junkrat's still a good 6 seconds away. You're Valking into a 3v6. Even if with your Valk you're able to get a res, even though you have Minefield and Sim Wall down, you don't want to Valk here. Again, you want to Valk not to try to get back into fights, not like, oh, we're down 3v6, or maybe you thought it was 4v6. You don't want to Valk in these situations. You want to Valk in like even fights, like 6v6s, 5v5s, things like that. Preferably where the number of teammates you have is still pretty decent because Valk chains off of teammates and you really need it to have that effect. Otherwise, it's not much better. Like if it's a 2v1, Valking doesn't do enough for you, or a 2v2, Valking doesn't do enough for you. You really want it to be in these types of situations where you can get multiple people, and you don't want a Valk to try to get back into a fight, to be like, oh, well, it's a 4v6. No, I don't really want a Valk in that, or a 3v6. I want a Valk to go ahead. I want a Valk to transform this number into a 7, to transform this number into a 6. And I don't mean through res, though that can be part of it. I mean through your chain beaming effect. I mean, hey, if I'm doing a 30% damage boost to 5 other people, that's worth having another person on the board. That's pretty good. Valk isn't a good get back into it fight because it only heals 60 health per second, and that's nothing. Like a comparative defensive support ult would be Zen, who's doing 300 health per second with Transcendence. This isn't really enough to get people back into fights. This heals less than Ana heals per second, for example. Now, this does it to everyone in range rather than one target, but this heals less than Ana does even without her grenade. So this isn't like some great way to get back into a fight. Instead, you try to go up. You try to take a relatively even fight. You use the fact that you're Valking to damage boost everyone for a couple seconds to try to let them create a massive lead, and then maybe you help stabilize with them with a little bit of heals. But you don't want to Valk reactively into fights. You want to Valk sort of right as the fight is starting and while the fight is still even. Yeah. Yeah, so please don't Valk like this. This is very bad. One of the easiest ways to start winning with Mercy is to get your Valk timings right. And that is, the fight is real, the fight has started, it is hard for the enemies to retreat, the fight's about to start and it's hard for the enemies to retreat, and it's a basically even fight. 6v6, 5v5, 6v5, something along those lines. You don't generally want to Valk this deep into a fight. And you definitely don't want to Valk when you're missing this many people. Gosh darn it. Why are you still here? You're being chased by a Genji, there's a Coalescence in your face, just Guardian away over to your ball. You want to create a bunch of distance between you and the Genji. Make this hard. Guardian to your ball. Guardian over to your ball, and then slow fall on your way down. It'll be fine. Okay, so I know it looked like you went up there and your team did go up there after the Valk, and then they came back and used their own ults and turned it. And so you might be thinking, no, Temporal, you were wrong. See, I Valked in this, 3v6 situation, and then our Junkrat showed up and we were able to go up, and if we just held on, we would have done it. Sometimes that happens. Bronze is weird. Sometimes your opponents all miss their shots for a long period of time, for a good few seconds in a row, because it's bronze, where the uncertainty factor is high, where the consistency is low. You're still going to win way more matches if you get your Valk timing right, and don't Valk when you're down a bunch of people like that. I promise. I promise. Video game journalism.
Damage increase.
Is Temporal a video game journalist?
The spell is upon you.
He did some coverage with announcements. I'm not really convinced I would consider those journalism. I'm more covering the news. I'm not going out and, I mean, you could in that sense, but if so, it's better coverage that I'm doing. But it depends how you want to define journalism. Do you want to define journalism to just include the sources that are actually going and actually break some news, actually go and get it? Because I'm not giving you guys any scoops. I'm not breaking any. Well, okay. I'm not generally giving you guys scoops or breaking news, but like I'm not. I don't have a press pass. How's that? Uh, Temporal is experimenting with branching out. Yes, yes, he is. He can launch a new set of temporal channels and increase the brand. I could. I could. You're just resetting, right? Presses Q. I should have been. Should have been. Temporal, how good are you at mental gymnastics? Could you come up with an opinion piece on how the clay pots in Anubis are indicative of how terrible our society is? Oof, oof. Yeah, I could probably do it. It would feel gross, but I could probably do it. It's 2 Zen orbs. And Brian H is stopping by to say, Temporal, your video about the attitude change post was interesting. Hey, I'm glad you found it thought provoking. I'm glad you found it thought provoking. If you have questions or want to discuss, obviously let me know. Throw stuff up in chat. I can go a little more into it. Clay pots are indicative of privileged people thinking Egypt cannot keep up with the time of what you said in the future, and clay pots are still used there. It's an outrage. But remember, if they don't use the clay pots, we're erasing their culture. If we use their clay pots, it's appropriation. So remember, there's no winning. There's no winning. Just remember, all sources lead to you're doing something wrong. Uh, I think I initiated it by posting on Overwatch University and blaming my support to Silver. You did not initiate it. Trust me. I've seen that mindset. I've seen that mindset long enough in the Overwatch community, and I saw someone else do a post, and I even linked the post that I went, this is getting enough traction, this post, and it probably shouldn't have. Let me go ahead and go do it like this. It wasn't your post, man. And you don't need to worry about it. That mindset has existed long before you. You did not bring that to bear. We used to see more of that mindset, I'd argue, 4 or 5 years ago on both the Uni forums and the Blizzard forums. Things have gotten better, but there's still room. Do you have any advice for Mercy versus Blade/Nanoblade? Sure. Stay away from the target. Stay away from other targets that he might want to go to, but close enough that you can boost them. So like McCree's, Hanzo's, Hogs, things that could threaten him. And then try to get your timing right, where you go, hey, I try to GA past you as you try to dash at me. You're not going to be successful very often, but every once in a while you will, and you're getting your damage boost on someone that can help. If you can also get your damage boost on someone while breaking line of sight, so it's even harder for him to get on you, but you just barely have a corner, so if he does get over, does get around, you can immediately peek and go, that's good. But if you can put yourself in a situation where, say, let's say you're in a situation where you have a wall here, Genji is here, and someone else you're boosting is here. So we're red, Genji is blue. And let's say that you've managed to get your beam on this person. Great. You need to keep yourself, if you can create the situation where Genji's dash onto you, the dash itself doesn't actually hit you, so it will take him 2 slashes to take you down. Like, if you can create this situation, that would be optimal, and then while he's trying to do his 2 dashes, then you're able to go, nope, I peek as soon as he's used dash and I don't take damage from it, while he's slashing at me the first time I peek, and then I go do this. And now Genji is stuck over here without having gotten his elimination. Even if he was nanobladed, with the dash alone, or the first slash alone won't take you down, he'll have needed the dash. So that's more what we're looking to do optimally. But it's very rare that we have the terrain to do exactly that. So instead, we're going for, like I said, you're here, you're boosting someone here, he's going to come from wherever he's going to come from. Maybe he's going to come from over here, and you just try to go, okay, well, As he dashes at me, I'll try to Guardian Angel away, and I'll probably fail. And, I'm boosting this person in the meantime. Not healing. Um, yes, try to talk your way out of being a journalist. Real journalism is cool, man. I would like to apologize for my previous statement regarding play pots. I will do better in the future. There you go. I've seen that mindset. Every time no, that's too personal. Don't immediately pop Valk to survive. Watch for his dash cooldown and play around that with your Valk. You also reset GA with Valk, so you can use it as an extra escape. That's true. Are you planning on doing more general hero guides that cover the most common mistakes you see people do? That hero and tips play it properly? That stuff gets recognition on Reddit? Yeah, I'll do more. I'll do more of those. I've had other stuff going on for like the past month or so, and we've still had okay growth for the past month or so, but it's been about similar to the previous month's growth when you'd expect it to be a little faster because if I was doing as much, you'd expect it to be faster just because of how the YouTube algorithm works. Was you get bigger faster because that's how it works, snowball effect. And we didn't get bigger faster. We got bigger at about the same rate, and that's because I was slacking a little for the last month, we could say. I was still doing content, but I was doing a lot of the regular content. I wasn't doing as much of the okay, let's do the owl player reviews, let's do the hero guides, let's do this. And we were trying some of it, we were trying other stuff. Like we were trying a little more, hey, let's cover some of the news stuff, let's cover some more Reddit response stuff. And that stuff actually has done well. Of the stuff that I've been doing, that does better for bringing in new people than just grabbing reviews to do repeatedly. So we'll see. But we're back on the wagon for going here. And yes, I will be doing more hero guides. Those do pretty well. But branching out is also in the cards. Thanks for the blade explanation. I use Valk as a bit too much of a crutch and usually just end up in the sky doing my best but watching everyone get eliminated. Okay, back to our Mercy here. Soaking up a ton of Valk charge, nice.
Valkyrie's charging. Is upon you.
Do you think if we went Twitch, you would have more viewers? Yes. It's no question. I also have people on Twitch who it would be easier for me to grow on Twitch, and that's not really a question at all, just because the Twitch environment is, how shall I put this? The Twitch environment is more inducive of people supporting, doing donations, etc. Twitch's environment. There's more I can do on YouTube to encourage that, but it's better for that. There's also, I'd be getting more viewership because when the Overwatch infrastructure is more on Twitch right now, and finally it just comes down to hosting and such. And there's so many people in the Overwatch scene that would host me occasionally. And it's, I can host them with my few viewers, but they would host me because I know them, I've worked with them. That is the Twitch ecosystem. I would not be starting as a small-time nothing streamer. Like, I'd be starting as a relatively small-time streamer. But instead of having like 15 to 20 viewers, 25 viewers at a time on YouTube, I would pretty quickly get to a place where it's okay, I'm consistently at 60, 100 viewers. Like, I can tell you my equivalent right now. If I was doing this on Twitch, I would almost certainly be running around at 60 viewers most of the time, which is fine. I don't mind that we're doing YouTube instead. I've clearly made the decision to be on YouTube because I think YouTube has some things that are better about it than Twitch. And I think YouTube, as they turn themselves or as they get better streaming features, I would rather already be established here. This is a plan for the future, and it's also a plan to run a bit counter to what everyone else is running, to capture a bit of a different audience, a bit of an audience that just doesn't spend time on Twitch, doesn't like the platform. YouTube does have the much bigger total audience than Twitch does, but YouTube is not totally in the supporting streamer thing. They're figuring out their way into it, and I would rather have my footprint here. Excuse me. Have my footprint here as they are figuring it out, as they're expanding, because I will be better positioned to catch explosive growth, etc. Hosting, yeah, exactly. Also, a cool idea would be to make the titles more organized. For example, use demand speed Lucio, gold Lucio review instead of ults demand speed gold Lucio. I don't think so. I don't think that would help. I probably need to make my titles more clickbaity in general. Like, I accept that on a scale of 1 to clickbait. I'm like a 3 out of 10 right now. And I probably need to bring that up to like a 7 out of 10, to be perfectly honest. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's hard. You know, we have these things called like morals and ethics, and like they get in the way. But hey, okay, there we go. So you're buying low on YouTube. You got it. You got it. Discoverability difference, and that is also the thing. YouTube does have. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Back to this. Um, is that a 7 out of 10? It was. Yeah. Oh, is what a 7 out of 10? What not to do or something? Oh, no, I could go more clickbaity than that.
Right beside you.
No, 7 out of 10 would be much more stuff like you won't believe what this Mercy did, or you know, things more like that could be in that realm. Or you know, how to carry with bad DPS. You know, how to carry his support with bad DPS, or taking over the game with no heals available. You know, things like that would be closer to 7 out of 10. It's hard for me. It's hard.
Let's get you back out
Yeah,
there.
things like that.
Get them off me. Valkyrie, almost. My servants never die.
Okay. I'm watching chat too much. This has become a meta stream about streaming as opposed to a stream about the Mercy, which is fine, but let's make sure the Mercy gets their review. Okay, so here you are. This is a fight that you would love to Valken. This is the type of situation where we're up. We would love to consolidate this fight. Team's in here.
Get you back out there.
Not sure why you're healing. Perfectly fine to put more damage boost out here. Even if this ball was missing another 100 health, it'd be fine to put damage boost out here. We want to leverage the actual win here. We want to go up more, and then once we eliminate them, there'll be time to heal. So try to win the fight faster with boost.
Get them off me.
That tire's scary. Boost your Sombra. Boost your Sombra. No. No. Beam on the Sombra. If you were boosting your Sombra, you would now have the option, because you were already boosting her, to switch to heal. Even though you can't see her, even though you can't acquire her to heal her right now, you'd have the option to switch to healing if you'd already been boosting her. And you just wasted time swapping to your gun and then swapping back there. That's not what we want. That's a loss of uptime. Don't GA this far. You should have canceled this GA back here. You still have forward momentum, and I don't like it. I wanted you to cancel this GA here so that you can immediately tuck behind this cover to continue healing your ball. No, you didn't cancel, and that puts you in the open. You do want to GA again to your ball, desperately. Why did you cut short? You needed to GA all the way, like you needed to cut short over here, not over here. You left yourself in the middle of the point.
Never die.
Okay, they're stable. They're stable. Swap to damage. Swap to damage. You needed to damage boost that slam. They're all fine. Please damage boost. Please damage boost. They don't need to be stabilized. They need to win faster. If you win faster, you need less heals. Like, if you eliminate this Junkrat faster, you need less heals. Plus, you'll have free time to heal between opponents. And it really is that big a difference. Like, if you understand how health pools work, you don't want to try to heal people forever. You want to damage boost them to get ahead. You really, really do. Remember, the game is not balanced such that you can heal forever. The opponents will outdo your healing, especially as you go up. You can do okay in bronze because people's aim is so bad, but as people's aim goes up, the damage scales faster than the heals, and I mean faster than the heals from heroes that have very low aim requirements, like Mercy. you really do want to put the damage in there to get ahead. Because remember, if you can get someone to 0 once, they're eliminated. They're just eliminated. There is no healing them back from that. So you really want to damage boost when it makes sense to try to get those eliminations. When your team is relatively, not full health, but relatively healthy. Boost! Don't pistol boost! You could have easily boosted 3 people to shoot at that Mercy instead of pulling your Valk out yourselves. Or your pistol out yourself during that Valk. Bronze GM in one simple step. This one tip will make you reach top 500 in 3 minutes. They are going full 10 out of 10. With bad DPS, you carry with pistol. You saw my Mercy right. That was a fun VOD. The only Overwatch review you need to go to top 500. You won't believe this. Yeah, I think he's doing a fine job with that. I think Spylo is doing a pretty good job with his titles right now. I think there's room to go further than he's going without getting too many people to hate it, though. Like, I think he's probably hanging out in a more, like, 4 or 5 out of 10 territory. And going from 4 or 5 to 7, don't get me wrong, will get some people annoyed at how clickbaity your title is and will potentially lose you some viewers, but the gains that you get in return are just too worth it. Where if you go full 10 out of 10, you have to be able to live with yourself, and that's a problem. Okay. So here we are. Not sure why we want to be here. Like, there's just not a good enough reason. So here we are. We're doing this. We'd like to push. I don't know why you wanted to follow Ball into point here. Ball is a very self-sufficient hero. He's perfectly happy on his own. There's not a good reason for you to be here at all. And again, for this fight, you could have happily been like, my team is right here, so I'm going to stand right here behind this. And I can just peek every 1 second to renew my tether on my target. Or if I want to, I can be over here, it's not as good, and pick my target because I can see them all. I don't want to be up here. Yeah.
Starting over from the beginning.
Please move behind the barrier.
No, damage boost. Damage boost your Sombra. That's worth so much more. Tuck left, tuck left, tuck left, tuck left. Why are you so close? Why are you so close? Good, and now Guardian back up. Cool. Play from here. Sure. Damage boost, damage boost, damage boost, damage boost, damage boost.
Did someone call for a whip?
Team up for special attack.
EMP activated. Let's get you guys out there.
Please don't stand here. Stand over here. With a little more cover. You've still got your beam, but you've got more cover against the opposing team. Why didn't you Guardian Angel past her into the tucked spot behind point? Why are we healing? They had an extra 400 meat health there. And you're just running around the fight. You're running around without spots in mind. You're just running around the middle of the point. That's not what you need to do. You need to play at the edge. And then if someone comes after you, you Guardian Angel away to a new spot. You might Guardian Angel, you don't quite get to where you want, and then you have to do a little running to get to actually the new spot that you want, but you can't just run around the middle of the fight. Okay, so the things we're going to give you, please play at the edges of the fights. If the fight is taking place in this direction and your team is here, here is a good spot for you. Here's a good spot for you. Even better, I mean, especially if there's cover that you can use in these places. But you can see your teammates, and the opponents can't see you. That's what we're looking for as Mercy. You find some sort of cover that you can tuck behind while still looking at your teammate at a perpendicular angle to where the opponents are. So perpendicular angle like that. That's what our positioning generally wants to look like as Mercy. We do not want to be in a situation where our team is here, the opposing team is here, and we're just standing here. That's not good. Spam, shots that are meant for our teammates, shots that are meant for us, will all take us down. We don't want that. We don't want this. If we are playing at the edge and someone from the opposing team comes and chases us, we could Guardian to the other side. Oh, look at that. Pretty cool. Even if our team is stacked in a ball, we could Guardian to the other side of them, and that would be some form of safety. We can Guardian to someone at the edge of our team, and then do our little hot pass thing and end up on the other side. That is going to be like the single most important thing that you can take away from this review. So please work on this skill. Please work on sort of setting yourself up perpendicular to the opponent. So like use your team as the angle, perpendicular to your opponents. You can see your team. You have some sort of cover between you and the opponents. That is what we want to do desperately. Please work on that. Use like 5 to 15% of your brain power to be hard focused on getting good at that skill as Mercy, and you will get a lot better. And work on this for, I don't know, it's going to depend how long it takes you to internalize it. It could be 5 games, it could be 50 games. I don't care. Somewhere in this range probably, depends on person to person. Specifically be using some of your brain power to be focused on getting good at this skill. And then when you just automatically start going to these spots, even when you don't apply any brain power to it, then we get to go, aha, it's locked in, and we get to move on to working on our next skill. And our next skill is going to be to stop just jumping and running around. And like, I know those seem like, hey, those are the same thing. Fine. If you can get rid of both of them at once, that's perfectly fine. But stop doing this. I'm just jumping, running around in the middle of the fight thing. Like, get your camera angle back up to neutral as opposed to aimed down. Stop aiming it down. Stop running around the fight jumping. If you want to consider this in the same category, fine. If this goes away when you go take the sides, great, fantastic. You won't have to work on it. But if it doesn't, you need to go, hey, I'm not just running around and jumping for no reason. Then the thing that we're going to get to is your Valks. I would like to talk about Valk timing. Like, Valk timing is almost a prerequisite to get to what the other thing about Valks I want to talk about is, I want to talk about the fact that you're just not damage boosting during your Valks, not nearly enough. You're really not taking advantage of the fact that when your team has plenty of health, you need to damage boost. I want to talk about that. I really do. But do I need to talk about timing first to get you there? No, we're going to try it like this. When your team has health, you need to damage boost. When your team has health, you need to damage boost them, especially during Valk, but in general. During Valk, when your team has health, doesn't have to be everyone who's 100. You don't heal everyone up to 100. When people have like 80% health, when no one on your team is at like 20% health, you want to be Valking. Even if there's more healing you could be doing, you want to be damage boosting during the Valk. That gets your team further ahead, which actually wins you the fight, which is super important on things like 2 CP second point, where the opponent's spawn rooms are so close and they can get back on the point so fast. You have to get aggressive. You have to win quickly. And Mercy's version of aggression is damage boost. And Valking a damage boost is so powerful. It's like, oh, hey, we've put Discord Orb on the whole team. That's basically what you're doing when you're Valking, because you're damage boosting your whole team, which means whoever they shoot at is taking 30% extra damage, even if it's not the discorded target, like it would have to be with a Zen. Like it's really, really cool. So please, when your team has decent, and that can mean like, hey, they're at 60% health, they're at 80% health, maybe they're at 50% health. One person's at 50% health and the others are at more, you're still getting a damage boost. Like you really want to try and get greedy about some of this damage boost stuff when your team has some health so that you can get further ahead. Because remember, every person you eliminate, every person that gets to 0 is going to stop doing damage, and that's going to make it easier to heal your team back up. And you'll have windows to heal your team back up if your team gets out. If your team eliminates 2 people, then it's much easier to sustain your team at that point. So that's what I want you to do. But again, the most important thing, literally just stand where the opponents can't see you, but you can see your teammates, preferably from the side. That's going to be the easiest, lowest hanging fruit for your Mercy. Okay, I hope that helped. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them up in chat now. If people are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps me out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. Okay, so what do we got here? Doctor snaps and shoots multiple people. Yeah, that's Mercy. Boosting Junkrat during a tire does absolutely nothing. That is true. Game Leap went too far down the rabbit hole. Yeah, couple of them have. Well, that's the thing. There's a difference between the thumbnails got bad and the content went bad. Like, I think people will stick with you more. You will lose some people off of your thumbnails getting too silly, but people will stick with you as long as the quality of the content stays high, even if it's clickbaity. Or the people that you have as doing good content, if your thumbnails get worse in the sense of more clickbaity, aren't necessarily going to leave just over the thumbnails. So there's a little bit of disappointment of, hey, I clicked, I thought I was going to be watching this, and this isn't what it was. But it was still pretty good, and you figure out, okay, it's never going to be exactly what it was from a clickbaity standpoint. So there's a balance to be had. But the trick is, yes, don't lose the quality of the video when your titles get clickbaity, even if the clickbaitiness doesn't exactly match what's being covered. You talk a lot about being on side where enemy can see you, but then you won't see enemy also and don't know what is going on. In low ranks, people don't give you much information to know what is going on. You don't need it. Your Mercy. I know you feel like you want it. You want that information. Um, you do want that information. It would be cool to have, but you really don't need that information of what exactly is the enemy doing over there, especially if you're checking your flanks, you're checking the different angles, you're checking the paths behind you and such, because that's really what you needed to know. Like if you're in a situation where you have teammates here and here, and you're down over here, and we've got something resembling a wall here. Black isn't going to work. You have something resembling a wall here. Doesn't actually matter if the enemies are over here, or the enemies are right here, or the enemies are right here. You just need to know if the enemy comes this way, or if the enemy is going to like open some sightline up over your thing, which you can see. You should be checking these things. You should be going, hey, I am turning my vision to look that way. I'm looking up every once in a while. I'm looking over here. Like you should be looking around for these things, but the enemies, if the enemies come hard this way and then go like this, you've either A, lost the team fight already, so it doesn't matter, or B, you'll have plenty of time to react to it. Like, they're not going to come here and immediately turn 90 degrees and eliminate you. That's not what's going to happen. They're like, you're going to get cues that they've gotten close like that. That's really not a problem. And you've also got the ability to slingshot past your teammate to get out, to switch sides, etc. I know you want this information, but you don't actually need this information. Does this information help you a little bit? Yes. Yes, it does. You don't really need it. Can you do a little bit of a peek every once in a while to go see how things are doing? Yes, but you shouldn't peek this direction nearly as often as you say checking the flank as Mercy. No. No, the right word is perpendicular. So parallel would be you're perpendicular to the enemies. So here's your team. Here's the enemies. Here's you. So parallel lines would be like this, sort of, Perpendicular would be like this. So this 90-degree angle is perpendicular. These were their 180-degree angle, effectively, where they're, they go infinitely, or they'll never touch each other like this. This would be parallel. And if you look at this, we can see, I'll just draw this, perpendicular. We are perpendicular to the enemy with treating our team as the angle. I think learning valve timing is one of the hardest parts of Mercy's kit. Yes, which is why I shied away from it. There is much lower hanging fruit for this player. About damage boost, I love to damage boost Bob. He eliminates all, and you can hide behind him. Well, I wouldn't hide behind him. His hitbox is okay sized, but like I'd actually get cover rather than hide behind him. Securing a point is one of the few situations where Valka is a really good game-changing goal. Absolutely. Your content is really great for learning how to play better. I only wish I found this channel sooner. Hey, you're here now. We're happy to have you. Okay, so Temporal, on a very unrelated note, how permanent do you think the current inflation we're seeing is? Oh boy. It is a very unrelated note. Let me jump to a different screen here because I don't want this to just be here. It's a less interesting screen than some of the stuff I'd have for video previews and such. Okay. So, how permanent is the inflation? With all of the caveats of I am not your financial advisor, go do your own research, make your own decisions, I am not your attorney, I am not your financial advisor, all of those caveats in terms of how permanent is the current inflation. Well, we're not going to see the perfect snapback. Oh, it's going to be fine once supply catches up. Oh, it'll be perfectly fine. It'll go back to how it was in 2019. We're not going to see that. That is a myth. But it's probably not. It's unlikely to continue at this rate month after month. Like, if it does, we have real serious problems. But it's going to be probably similar to what we saw after the last financial crisis, where the price of our assets is not coming back. Like we saw, the reason that college is so expensive, the reason that housing is so expensive, the reason that healthcare is so expensive is because when we printed a lot of money effectively after the last major recession that we had in this country. What happened is, oh, look, it fixed things, it stabilized things. Wait, why is college getting 11% more expensive every year? Why are houses worth 50% more than they used to be? Why is the cost of rent up 60%? Why did medical costs go up so much? And the reason, and I'm not talking about in general with medical costs, there's other reasons medical costs have gone up since we introduced other things much longer ago, but I'm talking about, after the 2008 recovery effectively. And the reason is we printed a lot of money, and that money didn't increase. That money basically went to assets. The amount of money that people were spending on normal things, on groceries, on things like that, didn't hugely go up. Like, those prices remained relatively stable, but increasing the amount of money in the economy, even though it didn't increase how fast it was moving, it does increase the total amount of money that exists. And that's going to go to assets, because what happens is it finds its way over effectively to banks, because that's how we send money into the economy. Indirect, but it's effectively how we send money into the economy is through banks. And then banks, well, that only goes if we're sending it in through banks, because that's the usual way we do things. We don't generally do direct stimulus checks to people. This time we did, which is part of why we're seeing things like, hey, grocery store bills going up 15 to 20%, lumber going up. Part of the reason we're seeing that is we sent money directly to people this time. Last time we sent money through banks, and the things that went up were the assets. And because the assets went up like that, the reason that they went up is because banks really lend only in a couple specific places. They lend for mortgages, they lend for tuition, because we got banks involved in lending for college. They lend for emergency medical expenses. Yep. So what did we say? We said more. Let's just call this housing, school, medical, and what was the last one? Housing, school, medical. They can end up in the auto industry. They're not usually. I'm blanking on a major category and its importance. Doesn't matter. Basically, in stock market. They end up in the stock market because companies will go to banks to get money at low interest rates to do stock buybacks. So school, housing, medical, and stock. And this is what happened after 2008. We created more money, didn't go directly to people, it went into the banking system. And because it went into the banking system, the things that went up in price were effectively assets. It wasn't, oh, there's a lot more money moving around being spent by everyday people. It went to asset classes. And we saw that. That's why rent went up so much if you're a renter. That's why houses have gone up so much in value. It's not all been, oh, look, they've just appreciated so wonderfully. It's, well, no, the asset's value doesn't change as its value relative to other things. So if we add more money, its value goes up. So that's what we saw last time. This time we did things differently where we gave money directly to people with our stimulus payments. And because we went, oh, hey, let's give money directly to people, it didn't do the usual path of going through only categories that banks lend out on. So it showed up, like I said, on lumber, which can end up in a category that people do, but but less so. It went to things like grocery store bills. It went to other things. Now there's other factors here. Like we do have shortages. Our supply chains became an issue because we shut stuff down. Supply chains became an issue. We had the Suez Canal thing. If you guys know what happened there, we had lots of stuff related to the bug that did hurt production, but we also added a lot of money to the economy. And because we added a lot of the money to the economy, and this time we did it more directly, both through direct payouts in the US and through, and I'm talking US centric here. You can certainly do this for other countries because other countries did very similar things, but I'll use US as the example. There was direct payments of stimulus, and there was the up in dollar value of unemployment. Both of these served, hey, we're adding money directly to the economy, and we're adding money to the economy when we haven't actually created anything of value. We didn't create a new technology. We didn't offer a new service, and this time we sent it to individuals, so now the money is moving around a little faster. The money's moving around a little faster. And because of how governments calculate inflation, they treat it based on the speed that money is moving around as opposed to how much money is actually there. We are seeing more inflation here. This will slow down. This thing, the speed at which money is moving around, will slow down because we can see there's not going to be any more. I would be very surprised if there's any more direct payments like we saw. And I would also be, and we're seeing states move away from the increased unemployment benefits as well. So this spike should come down, but that's this spike that we're talking about that's mostly in like things that consumers actually buy. The spike that was attached to this that still happened because, hey, there's still more money in the economy where we saw houses go up. Houses will slow down, and therefore houses will slow down at the rate that they go up, but they're not going to fall back down to prices to anything close to what they were before 2020. You might see these things still work their way up because they didn't spike. Actually, this already spiked. You might see some of these other things like medical, school, things like that spike. School might struggle because school's facing some fierce competition, so they're going to struggle to be able to raise their prices. So really what happened is we're having a little bit of a correction there probably, and you won't actually see its prices go down, but you won't see them go up like these actual asset classes did, because relatively they were probably overvalued in the era of YouTube, in the era of people can get educations on things, in the era of degrees aren't worth as much because they're not as much of a competitive advantage as they were in the 90s. That was really when they peaked in value. But you could still see medical go up again. So yeah, I wouldn't expect these to come back down whatsoever. I would expect some of the rate of growth of movement of like groceries or meat or lumber or metal or microchips to come back down some. Yes, to answer the question. So to answer your question, long term, what does that mean for inflation? We shouldn't be entering hyperinflation where it goes absolutely wild, but you're getting told a bit of a fib if it's told, oh, this is all going to go away, this is real. Like what's going to go away is the inflation as governments calculate it, which is the rate at which money is transferring hands, not the rate at which, hey, now we've decided that houses are worth more even though nothing fundamentally changed. Now we've decided that stocks are worth more even though the stocks are now worth way more than makes sense from any math in terms of earning statements or what they're expected to do, et cetera. There's just nowhere better to put the money. So those aren't likely to come back down. I mean, I'm not saying there won't be a crash. There could absolutely be a crash because, again, it doesn't make sense if you look at it like from an investment standpoint. So I'm not saying there won't be a crash. Again, I am not giving financial advice here. I'm just explaining how this has sort of worked. But the stock market has always been a little bit of rich people's feelings, as they put it. That's not a totally fair way to say it, but hey, where it responds based on confidence in some ways. And you'll see a little bit of a pullback on the housing market, but not much of one. I don't know if that answered your question, but hopefully it did. If you have more question in that topic, certainly throw it up there. Let me know. They lend for starting a business too. Yes, they do. They do lend for starting a business, but that's getting into the value of a business, etc., which is very similar to the stock market in terms of what I was talking about category wise. Clicked on the video for low level Mercy gameplay, stayed for the unexpected economy lesson. It happens. It happens. I went to Temporal Finance channel. Ask Temporal exists. I'll do a little bit of it on this channel. I don't think it makes sense for me to do a ton of it on this channel, and I also don't think it makes sense for me to split and make a second channel at this point. If I become wildly successful on what this channel does, I may go, okay, now it makes sense to make a second channel, but it doesn't make sense to be trying to grow one 1,500 subscriber channel and a second channel at the same time. Like, it only makes sense to do a second channel when I can go, hey, I have 400,000 subscribers or whatever on one channel, and I can go over here and immediately expect that I'll get 150K subscribers. Because, like, right now, most of the work that I do on the first channel doesn't compensate me at a rate that is acceptable for the amount of time I put into it. I'm fine with that because I'm doing it for growth, but it makes more sense to grow one channel rather than try to grow two and cross-pollinate them. Temporal investing. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I think that does it. I'll give you guys another second on questions because someone could be formulating a complicated question based on the finance stuff that I just went over there. And if they are, I want to give them time to get it in, but that's probably going to do it. Reminder, if you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps me out quite a bit. Or if you want to be here to ask me questions about Overwatch or distract me with questions about other things, the best way to do that live is to, in the Discord, you can go down to get notifications, react to get the watcher role, and then with that watcher role, you'll get pings when I go live. So you're able to go, oh, Temporal is live. I want to be there. I want to watch it live so that I can ask him some question about inflation. Will you do taxes for the next Overwatch hero? Do a VOD review on? Hopefully Overwatch 2 will give the channel a growth spurt. It will. Help Doomfist launder his money or help Diva set up 529. Okay. We're good. We're good. How many different scarves do you have? Well, I don't know. We'll have to hit more things that seem like benchmarks, right? Like, we hit 1,500, and that was a nice benchmark. So, here's a new scarf here. Are we going to hit 2,000? Are we going to hit 3,000 soon? 4,000? 4,000 is the next actual milestone in my mentally, for me, 4,000 is the next milestone. 1,500 really wasn't, but still cool. Still cool. Can I answer your question about coaching in Discord? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Okay, so Zax's question in the Discord. Hello, Temporal. I have a question about coaching. I do coaching for a few years, mostly trying to help others in low ranks for free. It's nothing professional, but I'm still trying to learn new stuff. I struggle with one thing, though. I never do reviews of players above my rank. I don't feel confident that I would provide them good advice, as I am the same rank as them or lower. I've watched your videos about Gold Coach, and you said there were plenty of coaches of teams are ranked below Masters, or just some. So I'm curious, what is the best to do to understand high-level ranked play since I don't play there on my own. I feel like someone from high ranks will have a better understanding of the game just because of the fact that they play there. Not necessarily. Watched a lot of IOStocks and other coaching channels and now started watching you. What more can players do to learn coaching who are above their rank? Okay, so when it comes to coaching above your rank, you basically just need to learn how the game is. You need to learn how the game is played at a higher rank, and the best way to do that is to learn how the game is played at the actual peak. So go watch Overwatch League. Go watch Contenders and figure out the why they're doing what they're doing. So build up your knowledge of how the game is supposed to be played. You have to build up your own understanding of how the game is to be played, and you use that with a combination of the best coaching resources that are available. So that might be, hey, ask Temporal question. That might be, hey, ask Spilo question. That might be, hey, we're going to go figure out that, oh, who's someone else who does stuff? Oh, Krusty is saying something. I want to go see what Krusty said. Oh, some other, Overwatch League coach said something. I want to go see what that was. Oh, so and so who used to be a coach said something. I want to see what that was. And eventually you'll figure out that some of these people, you'll be able to sort of build a frame with that, and you'll go, wait a second, some of this makes sense, some of it doesn't, or some of it contradicts each other, or things like that. And then you have to start building from there. You sort of get the information that you can from sources that you deem to be good sources, and you are constantly weeding out what you consider to be good sources. There are not very many good sources, and you are going to have to do the work of figuring out, is this actually a good source? Or is it garbage? And I should warn you, even the good sources are wrong. Like, even the good sources make mistakes and are wrong. And if you go any time that someone is wrong, I'm going to throw them out. You're not going to have any sources left. It sucks. It sucks. But that is something that you're going to have to accept. So the sources that you're getting rid of are the sources that are either wrong too often for you, or the sources that are doing edutainment where maybe they give you a gem every once in a while and it's like, oh, cool gem. That's me, so we shouldn't say that. Let's do someone else. Oh, cool gem. But then so much of it is filled with junk time. And an example of that could be, depending on where you are and you're figuring out Overwatch thing, it could be like, oh, hey, Jane had something interesting to say, but now I had to go through 4 hours of a stream to find the one interesting thing that he said, and I don't know where it was, or I don't know when it's going to show up type thing. Well, that's just not a good enough source because it's not a good enough use of your time. And this isn't to knock Jane. Jane's primary interest is in entertainment and doing things like that. He's not going for, let me do the best Overwatch thing I can. He's going for, let me be entertaining, let me do good stuff, let me be successful in that route. And that's fine. That's not me knocking him. He can do that, but hey, it means you're going to find the gems less often for improving that, so you might want to go to other sources that are more gem dense in terms of their information. And then from there, you pretty quickly, or maybe not quickly, get to a point where you have to go, okay, I've judged this, I've narrowed this down, I've found my sources, I'm constantly looking for new sources, but now I get to a point where I go, I have to be able to come up with my own belief of how this works. Not belief, but my own theory of how this works, in part based on this information that I have. And then I have to go test it. And I can't actually truly test it from an experimental sense. I have to more do this from an observational study sense, where I go, so based on my understanding, this is how this should work. Based on my understanding of Brawl, it should be the case that McCree taking angles should be more powerful than McCree playing with core and going for flashbangs. Go prove it. Go intentionally, don't watch a bunch of Overwatch League videos, but go look for a bunch of examples in Overwatch League with Brawl of what's happening when the McCree takes angles versus what happens when the McCree plays with the core. And you have to have your hypothesis before you go looking. Like, you have to have your hypothesis, your belief of taking the angles is better before you go do it. And if it doesn't look like the examples are agreeing with what you believe to be the case, and you had a good hypothesis as to why that was the case, you need to figure out, well, why am I wrong, or are they wrong? The kids are wrong. It's no. Or are they wrong? Are they, you had expected that it would work if they did it this way, and it's not. And the reason for that is, oh, well, they're not doing it with the right timing. The McCree is getting blown up, but that's because they're not having their McCree aggress and take the space when their front line is advancing. And then you have to go see, well, now can I get more specific and find examples? And sure enough, when I find examples when they do it that way, it works. But they're doing it wrong so often that this looks like it's having the better success strategy. So the actual right way to play the game is this. And then you continue to craft and hone from there. And the better you get at this, the better you're able to build a framework of Overwatch, and the better and stronger your hypotheses get, and the less you're checking out what other people are doing, and the more you're either checking your work, running your experiment, they're not really experiments, in contenders in Overwatch League, to the point at which you go, okay, now I get it, and then you actually go coach teams, and then when you're coaching teams, you get into scrim environments where you actually can, to some degree, run the experiment yourself. You can't go wild with it because it's the team's time, it's everyone's time. You don't have a ton of time to go do that stuff. Your priority is to win, but you can actually go, this should be the meta, this should break the meta, but does it require less investment to do it this way? Oh, it's low enough investment, let's do it. Oh, it's not, then we'll have to do something else. So that's how you do it. You sort of go, you find the actually good educational content. You're constantly looking for new sources as well as weeding out your sources that aren't giving you enough value. You then from there building your own frame of sort of how the game works. And then once you have that frame built up of how the game works, and then to actually test that frame, including some of this information that you got from other sources, you're going and you're testing it yourself in professional matches with, this is my expected outcome, this is what should be happening, okay, this isn't happening, let me form a new hypothesis, let me go do it, etc. And then from there you go coach that. And then once you have that like mastery of organized play, it's pretty easy. Now, you might be different. Maybe you're super micro, but I find going from macro to micro really isn't that hard, because you get into a place where you understand how the game should work. And if you understand how the game should work, the 4600 Widow player really isn't that intimidating for you to coach, because their timing sucks. Like, they might, it might be like, I haven't really thought about exactly what Widow duels look like in terms of exactly what this should happen, because you didn't need that information, but I can figure it out pretty quickly based on this same applying and based on what I know the team needs to do to win. So I personally find it's easier to go from macro to micro like that. So that's what I'd recommend. If you really wanted to get good at coaching, that is the path that I recommend. You sort of have to build your own frame of information and then find your way over. And you run it like you run any science, pursuit of knowledge, that kind of thing. That might have been too many steps, more complicated than you want, but that's the answer that I give there. Charlie Brown scarf, new scarf, yep. None of you even noticed the new scarf. I'm disappointed. You are my main source now. Thanks for the answer. Well, I can be your main source, but I shouldn't be your only source. Even if I'm the best source, which I am, I shouldn't be your only source. I should not be your only source. You should be going, hey, what are your sources going to be? And what my sources were when I was first learning the game should be different than they are different than what your sources are now. There's better sources available now than when I had to learn the game, but even so, you have to do a lot of work to cut sources, to get rid of sources, to go, this person releases something every 6 months, but it's really good when they do, so this is something I care about. This person gives me a lot of filler content, but also has enough gems that I want to stay there, etc. And even though they're wrong sometimes, I want to stay, etc. This person does like this. Like, you gotta have multiple there. Okay. I never watched Owl. I found it boring for some reason. That's fine, but if you want to sort of figure out how the game is supposed to be played, and you don't have to watch it. Like, when I say watch, I'm not talking like actually watching it, I'm talking studying it, and studying it is different than watching it. You're going back and you're looking for, is this happening exactly how I expect it to? Like, you can mute it, turn off the casters. I don't care what they have to say. I don't care about any of the setup or any of this. I really just want to get to the team fights, and specifically I want to get to like first team fights and neutral team fights, because those will really teach you the most about the game. Neutral team fights where they don't have a bunch of ults to use on each other, things like that, because ults change a lot, and if you understand the game without ults, it's a lot easier to zoom out from there, and the truth is it's a lot easier to snowball once you get an ult lead. So really the neutral fights will tell you the most. But hey. Do you do any preparation before coaching, like going to watch some high-ranked play of the hero who hasn't played in Owl, or more about the hero, let's say Bastion or Junkrat? It depends where you are. If you're at a place where you need to, you're going to be working with, say, a high-level Widowmaker, Doomfist, Junkrat, whatever the case may be, and you don't feel comfortable with the hero, yes, you should spend some time getting comfortable with the hero before working one-on-one with a high GM player of that caliber, certainly. Other heroes, you just know. I don't know what to tell you there. Like, yes, if you don't feel comfortable, you should go do prep work and go look at, hey, what should I know about this hero, etc. And go until you're comfortable. Yeah. Lunchtime, Temporal sick. Hey, Gangabim, glad you're here. Uh, because every hero has many tips and tricks, and I would say it's hard to have all knowledge about them. Well, you don't need all knowledge about them. I could not tell you every single Doomfist rollout in the game, for example. I could not tell you every single thing that he can collide off of to move in different ways. Like, I don't know every single one of those. And some Doomfist players do. Does that mean that I can't give those Doomfist players significant amounts of help? No. No, it does not. Like, you generally don't need to know your techs that special, that advanced to be able to help even high GM players. They make mistakes, especially if you understand the game from a macro standpoint, because you likely understand the game from a macro standpoint better than they do. And you now need to make their play fit into the macro that will consistently win team fights even on ladder more often than they do. Yeah, if you were looking for someone who's like, oh, I know every single Doomfist location that you can bounce off of and exactly where it takes me, etc., sure, you can find that too, but that's not really efficient from building up a coaching standpoint. Okay, I think that's going to do it there. I hope that question feels answered for you. And this ran super long, but yeah. Oh yeah, we'll make Reddit happy with our 95-minute VOD, right? That's only 3 times the length it's supposed to be. Okay. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.